right, guys, we're back again with another great episode. PFREI, a passion for real estate investments. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal. We have Marck De Latour. So Marck is a New Zealand-born real estate investor who currently lives in Kansas City, Missouri area. He has built up a real estate company that now buys and sells 150 to 200 homes per year and currently has 600 houses under management. Wow. Talk about that. Expertise is in turnkey real estate model. His expertise in turnkey real estate model is unparalleled, and his clients come from all over the world to help them buy U.S. properties, completely hands off. I think I messed that last line up, but I think they get it. So 600 houses. Oh man,
crazy, isn't it?
Here.
Yeah, man, it's been a good run, Fuquan. Unlike most people that you may meet in CG or in different masterminds that have been in business since, for 4 or 5 years, I've been doing it for 17 years. And so it's been a long, slow run, but it's been a good one. We've just had really slow, steady organic growth. All of our business has come from referral. I've never really had to market, for investor clients. What I found pretty early on is that rich people like to talk about where they're investing their money and what returns they're getting. And so the referrals that came from our passive investor group was enough to handle the increased deal flow that we were getting.
That's awesome. Marck, the first question I always ask the guests on the show is, why are you passionate for real estate investments?
Wow. Good question. I'm extremely passionate about real estate investing. And I'll back up to say what I'm not passionate about, which is investing in the stock market. I'm very anti-stock market. I just feel like the American public is probably kind of pushed into that field all too soon. As soon as you sign up for a job, the 401k is filled out and you start putting $100 a month or $100 a paycheck into this 401k. And I understand that you can't go secure a piece of real estate for $100. But I think what the real estate industry has really dropped the ball on is being able to be a resource for investors that have earned that, that have got a decent nest egg and want to diversify out of the stock market. I'm not saying never put any money in the market, but I think too many, people in the modern age are just putting all their eggs in that stock market basket. And I think it's a shame because real estate offers so many benefits with the depreciation to offset your income, the appreciation of the asset. It's always different, but in the Kansas City marketplace, we see the doubling in value of real estate in the decent areas of town, the A and B type properties. They double in value every 20 years. So if you put your houses on a 20-year amortization, you have it paid off in 20 years. Oh, and it's doubled in value. I mean, it's hard to lose when you have an asset that's consistently going up, conservatively at 2.5%, 3% per year. So it doubles in value every 20, and you consistently are seeing that paid down from your tenants.
That's awesome, man. So 17 years in this space, you had to go through that downturn. Were you still in the Kansas City market during that time?
I was, yeah. I'm so New Zealander, born and raised, came over here at the age of 18, got my undergrad and my MBA at the University of Missouri here in Kansas City. And so, yeah, although I'm from New Zealand, I know Kansas City real estate way better than New Zealand real estate. And in fact, I wouldn't have a business if I was in New Zealand because the real estate is so ridiculously expensive in New Zealand. I think it's the third most expensive city. Auckland is the third most expensive city in the world, only behind London and San Fran. So, I would not be able to do turnkey real estate there. Kansas City is an amazing town with, a great opportunity here because of that just cheap entry point that allows us to have cash flow positive. When the market tanked in 2006 and 7, we were really well positioned. We were just gaining momentum. We were buying a lot of houses, and although we kind of had to pause for a minute to just see where we bottomed out, as soon as we hit 2008 and a half and into 2009. We were just buying aggressively, and we had so many investors lined up ready to buy. And that's when our international contacts really started gaining momentum because they were not only taking advantage of a weak U.S. housing market, but also the weak U.S. dollar. And so they were kind of double dipping and saw some huge returns, obviously, for the investors that were confident enough to be able to start buying in that time period.
What is the marketplace now? Is it you still seeing a lot of inventory? Because there's certain pockets of the U.S. where there's a shortage of inventory because of the prices of housing has increased. How is that affecting your market?
Sure. So in Kansas City, we're definitely seeing the effects not only of an increased market, but also HGTV's been around now for, I mean, well, they would probably say 10 years. I feel like it's had a real impact on us for about the last 5 years. We've really had popular shows that are part of Main Street culture, where everyone, all the housewives are talking about it. And I really believe that HGTV has really educated the clientele to the point where, you've got mom and pop operators now that feel like they can actually go and flip a house, and that's an opportunity for them. So we are certainly seeing operators come in and have an impact. I mean, it may be just one or two houses that we miss out, but when you multiply that by 100 different people that are in the marketplace, there's there's a greater compression on deal flow for sure. That coupled with obviously the Main Street buyers of Main Street Renewal, First Key Homes, Blackstone when they were around, American Homes for Rent, these big corporate buyers that are coming in and buying up single family homes in mass. Which is kind of what we were doing, but we just didn't have $1 billion. We had millions. So, those guys have certainly disrupted the industry, and deal flow is a challenge. However, that's why, I invest in mastermind groups to be able to, cater to the different, streams of revenue. I know one of your questions, if I may jump there immediately, is, a challenge that I've had in the marketplace. The biggest challenge for me in the past, 12 to 24 months is that we used to get, we do around 150 to 200 homes a year. We get 100 of those just from the courthouse steps. And when you take a funnel that's delivering 100 houses a year, and now we're buying 0 houses a year from the courthouse steps, it's hard for that not to have an impact on your bottom line. But because we are good at what we do, we saw that coming. We have gone to seller direct marketing. We're developing relationships with wholesalers. In fact, we actually hired a wholesaler that we consistently were seeing was at the top of his game. So we brought on a wholesaler, so he'd be able to bring us wholesale deals. We're now working with realtors and all different kinds of acquisition streams to make sure that we don't miss out on that deal flow. I think that you can get married to an acquisition stream and let the creative mind kind of go a little bit complacent. And so we've really stressed that 2019 was the year that we had relentless pursuit of low and no cost marketing methods to bring deals to the table, because it's amazing if you just, open your mouth to a divorce attorney, say, hey, if there's ever a deal that you come across where you need a quick cash closing, let us know. And you start bragging and branding about what you do and how you can help. It's amazing how those little onesie twosies can add up, and you start getting, 5 or 6 divorce attorneys, or 7 or 8 probate attorneys, or, 7 or 8 foundation companies. If they all know that you're the guy to turn to, suddenly that deal flow has been stabilized, and we've gone, we've stabilized the lack of acquisitions, and now we're back to buying, 10 to 15 houses a month.
So with the inventory funnel you talked about that you used to have that became challenging when it went to 0, you diversified into different acquisition strategies to bring that consistent deal flow in. What about the scalability part? Do you guys have any challenges there with scaling? Like if somebody say, here's 600 houses, here's 600 properties right now.
Great question. Yeah, no, it's very valid. And the one thing that I've been very fortunate is that I found the right COO, and I've kind of elevated my position out of an operator role. And so now I'm truly in the CEO seat, working on big relationships, the vision, the branding, the partnerships, the big ideas. I've got someone who's actually steering the ship, and I get to tell the ship where to go, and then it just goes. So that for me was the biggest thing. And I think as an entrepreneur, I can look back with 2020 vision now and say that's where I was failing with being able to scale. Because I was putting so much pressure on my subordinates and my lead managers in those different positions, because, we would have opportunities to scale and grow, but it was really a stressor on them. Once I hired my COO to come in and, help me run the ship, and he's a better operator than I am. If you've read a book, I'd encourage you to read. Are you familiar with EOS and Traction?
Yeah, I'm almost done with Traction. I just started reading that before the CG event.
Okay, so if anyone's looking at scaling, from kind of $1 million business up to a, $5 or $10 million business, you'll have to hire a COO. As visionary entrepreneurs, we always get ahead of ourselves and think that we can do everything. To scale and get to that next level, you've really got to bring on a COO. And Rocket Fuel is a book that was written by Gino Wickman and the group there at Traction, and it addresses having the visionary and the integrator coming together. And when you truly get, that symbiotic relationship that can truly gel, it truly takes it to the next level. And so now all the ideas I have and the ideas that I get from a mastermind group that I can come back and start implementing, he implements them for me. We have strategy sessions. We talk about the vision and direction of the company, but then he's responsible for making sure that the team's on board with leading them. He's also a good checks and balances. I have, I'm a classic entrepreneur where I've got, 20, don't have a good idea, just ask me and I'll give you 5, right? So, I've always got ways that I'm trying to challenge and move forward and grow the business. He's the one that pumps the brakes and says, okay, what are our 30-day goals, 60-day goals, 90-day goals? Let's really work at moving the rock, cautiously, systematically. And, to your point, Fuquan, do I want 600 doors now? No, I don't. We want to get, we want to pick the top 200 that will make us the most amount of money in 2020. So we are scaling, but we're scaling appropriately and with responsibility. We're not just, we're not trying to just be the biggest. We're trying to be the most profitable and deliver the best quality product. So it is very much, a cautious approach to scaling.
Scaling to get better, not to get bigger.
Nailed it.
I had Joe Libra on earlier, and we were talking about the magician and the mule. And he said, entrepreneurs are like the mule. I can do it. Put anything on my back, I can do it. But we should be like the magician. And I was just like, wow, I still that from him. But that's definitely what he was talking about, moving.
Yeah, and I think as you grow a business, there's the two, right? There's the CEO and the COO. There's the visionary and the integrator, whatever you want to call them. There has to be someone that has the big ideas, the big vision, and the big dreams to drive the org. But you've got to have an integrator, and that's not often the same person. So for me, I'm just blessed. I had someone who was actually a passive investor of mine. He was buying real estate property through me, had a passion for real estate himself, was a very high-paid corporate executive, but he came on board and we're able to, have those discussions about what I was needing. And again, my wife was, very integral in making sure that I tiptoed very, very cautiously because he was actually a friend of mine. And so, you got to be careful, and had to move from Arizona to Kansas City. So you got to be careful when you start, playing with other people's lives in that way, but it's worked out seamlessly. And he's been here for the better part of a year, and really thrilled with the way the traction truly that we've received and gained in the business since that.
That's definitely a blessing, man. All of us look for something like that in order for us to have a better foundation on our business. What would you do differently now than you were doing before? What would you implement to your business from all of the knowledge you know now going into 2020? If you had to start all over again, what would you do different?
Wow. What would I do differently? That's a deep question. There's so many facets of what we do that I could answer that in many ways. We have kind of the 4-pronged approach. We have to, buy houses. So, very heavy on the acquisitions. Then we've got a full-on remodeling company that we, rehab 150 houses a year. So that's a challenge. On the property management side, I probably would have, probably brought on a property management leader and got myself out of that business quicker. Probably just invested in greater talent at an earlier age. I think that in retrospect, I think that, what I would have done in each of those 4 departments of acquisitions, remodeling, property management, and then our sales team, probably would have paid more to get better talent early than just trying to say, well, I can probably get someone decent for 40 grand. I'd rather pay 60 grand and get the top of the line property manager than pay 40 and just get someone who's okay, because the okay people at CG recently, Randy Lawrence, who's a good buddy of mine, said it's easier to do than to think. It's easier to do than to think. And that, I'm like, wow, that's a deep, deep, deep statement. And I'm like realizing that I'm getting a bunch of doers rather than a bunch of thinkers. And you've got to pay for the thinkers like I did, with my COO. I mean, a huge salary, which obviously is tough to stomach, but at the same time, truly moving the needle. And, if I did that in every single seat, it's encouraging me now, okay, if I truly got a property manager who was thinking about what they're doing and how they're doing it and could we do it better, they save you so much money in countless ways if you actually get thinkers rather than doers. So I think in retrospect, the business hasn't gone in the wrong direction per se, but I think it could have accelerated our development by getting people that just think before they do.
That's awesome, man. Randy is he did a great talk at the event, really moving. And that statement that you shared with the group, that he shared with you was really, 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 really awesome, because it makes a lot of sense, right? You really people who, like you said, who can move the needle instead of this. We've all been guilty of that. I've been guilty of that myself also. Not wanting to pay the high salary and thinking I can train this person to be me and save.
But the problem with that is that also that you're training them to just be a mini you, and
Exactly.
you, or I'll turn it around, and I come with flaws. And so, although I've been doing the task, I'm probably not the best person to do that task. I have much bigger things that I should be doing. And so, they should be at a level where you're bringing on someone talented enough to have their own ideas of how they could do it better. And the sooner you get out of the way, the better. And if you're just training them to do and not to think, then, you're just going to you're going to get a level of frustration straight back again, which I found myself in that revolving door. And honestly, it just, when you don't give people the autonomy and you micromanage, or they need managing, it frustrates you, it frustrates them. They want more pay. You say, well, you're not really worth it because you're not delivering. And it's just this vicious cycle of people coming in, coming out. So the culture we have now, we've got longevity. I think our people are staying longer and enjoying, where they are.
Yeah, that's important, man. And you can sleep easy at night just for that.
Absolutely.
The other stuff still keeps you up, I'm sure. So you're doing 150 plus flips also. So that's a whole different segment of the market with the turnkey stuff. Let's talk about that a little bit. Are you guys sticking with a certain dollar amount, 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom, like a quick cookie cutter in and out type of flip? Do you guys have like a criteria on renovation time? And I know that's like 3-4 questions, but.
Yep. No, we're very detailed in that respect. We focus geographically more so than eliminating a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom or a garage or not a garage. To me, it's math, right? If it cash flows, it cash flows. So I would never say no to a 2-bedroom one. As soon as I get an investor who says, well, I only want 3 bedrooms, I'm like, really? Because I got this 2-bedroom for sale. And it's generating like $400 a month cash flow, and you've got like 40 grand of equity. And they'll be like, wait, what? Oh, yeah, I want that deal. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have that, but I'm just trying to, it's like, if I had that and I can deliver that to you, would you buy it? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, then don't limit yourself to just buying 3-bedroom houses. So, but what we do focus on is our brand is all about professionalism and quality. So we have granite in all of our rentals. We have, stainless steel appliances. We have LVP, luxury vinyl plank flooring. We try and eliminate carpet. We're trying to make these things bulletproof so that when an investor buys a home from us, they know that they're going to have it as, a great asset for the long term, but also minimizing the 2 biggest killers of cash flow for Quan, which are vacancy and maintenance. And so we're trying to really drill down to get better at our tenant turns so that our investors have longer periods of occupancy with minimized maintenance. And that's our core goal on these assets. So yeah, we're really focused on what we do and how we do it. But the where we buy is probably more important to us than what we buy. We will buy a totally distressed home as long as the math works, that we have enough rehab money to get it up to par on the back end. We'll buy something that's already fixed up, doesn't need much, as long as we can make the buy right, so we can turn around and sell it to our investor on the back end. What we're trying to deliver is a really good, double-digit cash-on-cash returns to our investors, and that's something that we're proud of and sells obviously on the back end.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Just answer the question. What does the cap rate look like? You said double-digit cap rate on a retailing to the investor.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a combination of equity and yield. The cash-on-cash return is obviously in double digits pretty comfortably. But no, I mean, in this competitive marketplace, we're delivering on really nice assets, the A quality assets. And in Kansas City, you've got A, B, and C class assets. We do not deal at all in the C class assets. We avoid the inner city. We avoid the bad zip codes. So it's all A and B class properties. On the A class properties that are super nice and tenants tend to stay, on average, 3.5 to 4 years rather than just 2 years. Those ones with great appreciation, and you might be drilling down to where they're only 7 or 8% yield. But on the ones that are the B class properties that might get a little bit more turnover or, are not as consistent and may have an eviction, once in a while. Those ones there, you'd be looking at somewhere in that 8 to 10% yield. So those, drive up the cash flow on the back end. But yeah, it's a good product. I mean, we're very proud of what we do. We spit out somewhere around 100 deals a year full turnkey, and then around 50 deals a year, on the flip side. In Kansas City, you've got 150 and below that is a really good full turnkey model. And then 150 and above, we just flip all those retail on the MLS. So we kind of have those two different exit strategy, as well as a little bit of wholesaling, for ones that may be out of our zip code or out of our specific criteria that we're looking at for a full turnkey.
Yeah, that's what I asked, because I know a lot of people, and I've asked them, I do wholesales. And that was something that I actually don't do wholesale. Every once in a while, I'll find something that doesn't fit my buying criteria and sell it, but I won't consider myself a wholesaler. I don't have a list that I market to. It's just a whole nother arena that you have to get into. I'm trying to stay focused on what I have going on, the current investment strategies I have. How is that working out for you, the wholesaling?
Yeah, so it's a new thing for us, and here's why. So before, when we were buying, almost 95% of the inventory from auctions, we just would not pursue auction. We had all the deal flow we needed, and we didn't need to pursue other leads. We wanted to stay laser focused. But now that we're actually, and you buy on the day, you've got to have cash on the day, so the auction is just a very different process. Now that we're creating all these different funnels, we've got a seller direct marketing funnel. We've got, we're launching TV. We're going to have a TV advertising funnel, radio, PPC, and all these direct to consumer or B2B, where we're going to attorneys and foundation guys and all these different channels, wholesalers, realtors. You've got so many different funnels coming in that we don't want to. Now you're spending all that money in marketing, whereas before we had a zero marketing budget. We'd just show up to an auction and buy. Now we've got a large marketing budget, but we need to make sure that we can take advantage of the leads that come into us and not just throw them away. So wholesaling is a way for us to recognize we're generating, let's say 100 quality leads a month that are going to lead to a deal. We only want to buy, 20 of those. So let's try and find a good avenue for the other 80. And if that's, if we can, sometime monetize even a fraction of those, then that might pay for the advertising in and of itself. So we're now opening up the wholesaling channel to realize that with the leads that come in, we need to be more cognizant that you don't just cast them aside and let that. And more importantly, it's not just a lead; it's someone that is trying to solve a problem in their life. And let's help them solve problems. If someone's wanting to sell their house in the inner city and they've got huge margin there, well, let's have buyers lined up that are looking for inner city property, so that when we get that lead, we can turn around and give it to someone who's actually going to be able to help that person solve the problem. Because at the end of the day, behind every house is someone who's let it go downhill and needs to be remodeled and is trying to solve the problem, and it's a headache in their life. Let's try and help these people out.
That's great, man. So let's give the people an opportunity to, if they can reach you on the website or find out more information about what you're doing out there in Kansas City. I'm going to plug your website.
Oh, sure. So our company is called SBT Housing. That's my wife's initials, Sarah Beth. So Sarah Beth De Latour, SBThousing.com. You can go on there, check out some of our promo materials and marketing. The person that might be ideal for our course of action would be someone, a high income, high net worth individual that has 100K or more of disposable income, that they may want to diversify out of the stock market, that they may want to say, hey, look, real estate's a great play. And they want to work with a trusted professional that knows what they're doing. And I'm actually writing a book right now, Fuquan, called Mistake-Free Real Estate. And it's a little bit of a play on words because, you're chuckling because you're in real estate, right? There's no such thing as mistake-free real estate. The idea of the book is, the subtitle is A Passive Investor's Guide to Accumulating Wealth Through Real Estate. And it's about, hey, I'm the one that's already made all the mistakes. I've flipped over 1,000 homes in the Kansas City marketplace. I'm very proud of that. But through that process, we've made all the mistakes in the world. How you can invest mistake-free is by partnering with someone like a turnkey provider in a market that we know, and just saying, hey, I'm going to put 20% down. I'm going to get a mortgage. Everything's done for you. The property is full turnkey, meaning it's beautifully remodeled, the tenant's in place, and we're going to manage it for you. So the mistakes have already been made. Let us just go and handle that for you. So look for that book coming soon in first quarter of 2020. But yeah, in the meantime, if they want to reach out, just info@sbthousing.com. Or for your preferred audience, if they want to reach out to me directly, it's my first name, which is Marck. So that's Marck@sbthousing.com.
That's awesome. And I definitely appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing your journey with us and the reason you're passionate for real estate investing. Another great episode, PFREI, a passion for real estate investing. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media places. Thanks for that, Mark. I definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing the value with the group.
Thanks for calling. It worked out well.